Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started.
Lady!
What?
It is here. We've been talking about this for so long. Do you know what's here? You know what I'm talking about?
I am so it's all I've been able to think about. Yes, AAPD.
AAPD in Denver later this week.
Yes.
That's crazy to me because in my mind it's like, oh, that's always Memorial Day weekend. We've got, oh gosh, we're here.
I know.
It's here.
It's here. It felt like forever coming and now it's here.
Okay, so why are we so excited about this now? Because I know I'm going to AAPD.
Yes.
But you are too. What are you doing at AAPD?
I am going to be in the exhibit hall talking about this amazing podcast, Managing Dental Drama, and of course the subscription and the hub and all of that. So I'm going to be there.
Can I toot my own horn for a
Yes,
minute? Because you know I never toot my so I'm going to toot away here, but I think like the booth is going to be so much fun and so cute.
Yes.
And I think some of those ideas were mine.
Oh, a lot of those ideas were yours. Yes.
Which is where it stopped. Just the ideas and the bantering and the babbling. And like with anything, 30 things come out of my mouth and there might be 3 useful things in there. And you picked up on those. And then you've done all the rest of the work, you and your crew.
Yes. So hopefully we've got a lot of our listeners that'll be at the AAPD conference. You need to come and find us because it's going to be a very fun and interactive booth. It's going to be the loudest and proudest, I think.
Well, and just unique fun. Like it's for all the exhibit halls I've been to, I think this is going to be unique and different. And things that even, like your teams are going to want to stop by. You're going to want to come by with your team.
Yes.
I think all of us can relate to being on that exhibit floor and going, okay, who do I make eye contact with and who do I not?
Yeah.
And what's going to lure me over to a booth? I don't need another pen. I don't need another piece of candy. That lip balm looks interesting, but I don't want to hear about your sterilization product. Like, never mind, right? But like, this is going to be fun. So I think that's the angle we took it as, like, what would make me stop by a booth? Yeah. And I told you, and now you're making it happen.
Now it's reality.
Yeah.
It's going to be reality in just a few days. So I think our booth is 112. So if you're there, come find us.
You don't even need to know the number because we're going to be the only cool booth there. So
you'll know us when you see us. Okay?
Yeah. So when you're done looking at prophy paste and fluoride varnish, come hang out at our booth with us. We're going to have some fun stuff going on.
Come do what you really want to do.
Yes.
But just have fun.
Okay.
Yes. So then what are we talking about today?
So I would like to talk about something that I'm sure in your world is quite pervasive, but I have been personally asked about this in 2 different contexts, and so I thought maybe it was time to revisit. And it is about insurance and dropping, or the verbiage you like is divorcing ourselves from insurance. Mm-hmm. And so I think, I'll let you kind of figure out where we're going to take this podcast, but I'll just give you the 2 incidents or whatever that made me want to talk about this or realize that it is something that people are talking about. So one was a colleague that messaged me about a weekish ago. I'm pretty sure he listens to most podcasts. I won't say his name, but Rockstar, if you're listening, I'm talking about you, man. So Rockstar, he knows that's our nickname for each other from school. And so he messaged me, and his verbiage was, or his text message was, hey, are you still happy with your decision to drop out of network? And so funny enough, we just talked, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago about the Delta drop and getting out of networks and stuff like that. And he's a super smart guy, both with dental and running a business and just like investing in stocks. Like, he's just a super shrewd guy. And so I thought it was funny that he was coming to me for advice on, because that's usually not the way it went in residency or in general. So I was like, oh, what can I help you with, sir? And so, his question was, are you still happy with your drop? And I feel like he's kind of checked in with me every like 3 months or 4 months. Now that I'm thinking about it, just kind of like seeing what I think. And so again, to me, just right off the bat there, that's somebody who is super, super like shrewd with business stuff. I'm like, this must be weighing heavy on you, because you probably know that you could be working smarter, not harder, but it's that point where we all are like, but can I afford to do this and lose a bunch of patients? And so I find it interesting that he's right there. He just needs that confidence to push over. And for me, I'm like, I can't guide you through all of that, because I know there's so many things to consider in whether or not you're going to drop the insurance. And I think back on all the ways you helped guide us, and gosh, what a tough 6 months that was. Mm-hmm. And thank God we had you guiding us. So I see his point completely, but what he's asking is, was it worth it on the tail end?
Yeah.
And my response to him was 1,000%, dude. And so part of that is, how do I feel about it? But a lot of, he's not asking what I feel about it. He's asking from a business perspective, from a numbers perspective, did it make sense or not? Is your business surviving?
Yeah.
Or is your business thriving? Like that, like for me, I don't care if your business is surviving. I want to know if you're actually doing better on the tail end or not. And I think that was his true question. Yeah. So that was one incident that came up. Do you want me to talk about the other one right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think mention it. Yeah.
So, as you know, the last podcast we did last week was the satellite location. Mm-hmm. Yep. And words I never thought would come out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at me, and you knew too. I've always sorry guys, I've kind of mocked people who have more than one location, and while you're trying to be the dentist too. Like if you're going into a full admin role, that's different. But if you are one of the ones I was talking about in the podcast last week, that's like, oh, everybody else is doing it, let me do it. So I've always been kind of like, what are you doing? And that may be coming from like a defense mechanism, going, oh gosh, I'm too dumb to do another location. So, right, but then I'm like, no, I really do think like people can fool themselves very quickly trying to keep up with the seeming Joneses of the dental world. So, but here we go, y'all. I am starting a second satellite location, and I fell into that category of this opportunity has presented itself, and you and I had many conversations about like, okay, just because this opportunity is there, is it the right fit for me at this point in my life, with my life circumstances, and what all is going on with the second location? Can I do both? Does it make sense to do both? Even listening back on the podcast, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and yet here I am forging forward. So y'all know, like, get ready for the drama unfolding as this little side project takes off, like guaranteed. Is that why you told me to proceed, so that I'd have more fodder for this,
like we've
for
got
drama?
A whole new category of content.
Bethany was like, yes, move forward with this. I can see all the... Oh, Lord. So, anyway.
No, that is not why. Just so you know.
I know.
Just for the record.
I know. No. But I did. I think I asked you and said, look, like, all of these things are lining up. It's like almost a no-brainer that I should do this. And I said to you too, like, what is my why? Why am I doing this? Like, do I need the money? I mean, we could all always use money, right? But I think at this point in our lives, for those of us that have practiced for 20 years, we're kind of going, quality of life matters a lot more. And is this going to enhance my quality, or is this going to be like a major burden here? And I think for me, that's where I was like, have I forgotten all the little nitty gritty things that it takes to get a business off the ground? And have I just like not thought about all of that? And now I'm jumping in, and is this going to come back and bite me when the realities of the situation kick in? And you talked me off the ledge, and you talked me through why that made sense for me. So we don't need to talk about all of that there. Point being, like, it just, I think my why on it is, it's actually, I think I've felt very stale in my practice the last couple of years, for a variety of reasons. And like, this has brought new energy to me, and I hope the energy stays. Anyway, that could be a whole nother podcast. But the point is, there's a colleague that I was talking to about this with, and he was like, well, if you're not going in network, he's like, you will be going in network, right? Because we're thinking about the typical startup that you really kind of have to. There are, 10%, 20% that maybe dodge it, but the majority need to take insurance. sign up in network? And I was like, no, because I want it just like my office now. We have worked for 15 years to get out of network. We're there. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. We're doing really well. So Rockstar, we're doing really well. And I don't want to go backwards in this other practice. But so this colleague kept coming back at me and was going, well, but I think you would dominate that town if you were in network, because you already have a really good reputation. But I think your challenge is going to be that people are going to want to come to you, but won't come to you because you're not in network. And so that did worry me. Yeah. And I was like, Bethany, am I being dumb about this? Do I need to be taking networks to build up? And you were like a resounding no, ma'am.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I still am kind of going, maybe I should. I don't know what's going to happen if I don't. So I'm kind of just going on faith and my trust in you.
Yeah.
And I know we can always pivot if for some reason you and I are grossly wrong and we do need to add a plan at some point. I mean, that's always an option. But it is different than starting a brand new practice from scratch, for people wanting to go fee for service, even though I don't know, you know better, the smartness of that or not. The point though being, insurance is what I wanted to talk about today. Mm-hmm. And all of these conversations that all of us are having in our offices, I know we are. Those of us that have kind of made it to fee for service are probably sitting here and going, oh, recession, tariffs, economy, job loss, whatever. Maybe we are fee for service. Maybe we need to get back in some networks. And then for other people that are like, I am done playing this stupid insurance game. I've got to get out. Rockstar. Yes. So that is what I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
I will add one last thing, and then I will turn it over to you. We were at the Texas Dental Association conference last week, and man, I forgot what a great conference that is. Every class I went to was just phenomenal. And I hadn't been in a couple of years, and now I'm like, dude, I need to go back. It was so much fun. Me and 5 team members drove down together. It hit all the check boxes that I wanted. It was great CE, it was great exhibitors, it was team building, we just had a blast. But I put 2 people in an insurance class, and both of them were texting me in their class going, oh my God, the shadiness of insurance, the shadiness and the things. They're like, thank God we are out of insurance. And I think what most of us, we just bury our heads in the sand, and it's it is what it is. Whatever weirdo things insurance is doing or requiring of us, hopefully I never get caught in that I'm not doing XYZ. But all the things, if you read the fine print of your insurance contract, if we all were just looking at that all day long, we would never sign the damn contract. But we, convince ourselves, because we're well, we need the patience. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I'll sign that. And what are the chances that insurance is going to actually come to my office and tell me I'm doing this wrong, or that I should have been doing it this way, or I'll take my chances. And you know what, you can get away with it for years. But so I'm not saying don't do that. My point in saying that was, even my staff was like, thank God we are not in insurance. And to me, that was another win, because a lot of times it's the team. In fact, the colleague that's coming at me going, hey, why are you not going to be in network? I'm pretty sure it's his team that's like, wait, Kuba's doing what? She's starting another satellite? Well, she better take insurance. Because from the team, I think as a teammate, she is only going to go to providers that take insurance.
Right.
So I'm sure she was thinking, oh, I'm so excited, Kuba's coming. I can go over there and use my husband's insurance. And now it's like, no, we're not taking it. And she's like, damn it.
Yeah.
But that's a staff mentality, which I know you've said people push back a lot. Staff pushes back a lot. We're not... we're not meeting the needs of our patients because we don't take insurance. And I think that to me was the other win, was that my team was the one that was like, Kuba, thank God, please don't ever get back in network. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So, insurance. After everything I've just verbal vomited at you, tell me what takeaways you have for insurance.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing it back up, because I do feel like it's a resounding drum that we need to keep coming back to. And you mentioned the concept that I refer to it as divorcing insurance. So one thing about divorce, I've never heard of a good, clean, easy, drama-free divorce.
That's a good point.
They're always messy. They're always long and hard and difficult. It's just not an easy process. And for this marriage of insurance to dentistry that has been in existence for, I would say 15, 20 years, pretty tight, that's going to be a messy relationship to break up. And especially when one has gone off the rails and is absolutely insane with what they're doing, which is insurance, by the way, then it's going to make it an even messier process. So I'm glad you're bringing this back up, because it's going to be something that I think we need to keep coming back to and reminding ourselves, why would I think of getting back together with that crazy partner? Why would I think of putting up with their shenanigans when they've done this and they've done that and they've, just like we wouldn't consider that in our own personal lives from a relationship standpoint. If we've got a psychotic husband or wife, we would never go back to them and put ourselves through that again. And I think as the dental community, we've got to stand solid on this. I have been so proud of the stand that so many dental practices have taken by dismantling their relationship, redefining their relationship. So when we say something like we're out of network, it doesn't mean that we don't still co-parent that kid, that patient that we have. We still share responsibility for that patient. And so we're still, in most cases, when a practice cuts off that network or that contract, they're still sending claims on behalf of the patient. They're still trying to fight with insurance to get benefits for that patient. So there still is a coordination that happens, but we're not going to play by insurance's rules. We're going to play by our rules on what is best for that patient. And so it can still work because we're still working with insurance. We're still trying to help the patient in that way. Now, there are plenty of practices that have, when you say have done away with insurance, they have done away with it. They are not filing claims. They are not checking benefits. They are, I'll provide you the service. You pay me. I will give you a claim to submit to your insurance company. That is technically called a fee-for-service practice. So there's an out-of-network practice, and then there's a fee-for-service practice. So sometimes we'll confuse those two terms. We'll say, oh, I'm fee-for-service. And I'm like, well, do you file claims? Well, yeah. Well, you're not fee-for-service. You're actually considered an out-of-network
Okay,
office.
so that's us. I think I get them confused too. So we're out-of-network.
Everybody does. Fee-for-service is I provide the service, you pay me. And done. Contract is done at that point with the relationship.
That's like the golden. That's like you've reached the top of Mount Everest. So we're still climbing. We're not there.
Yeah, no.
But we're not at the bottom of that peak either. We've traversed a lot of that journey, and we are still going up. So, and I'm sure you're getting to this, but I'm just going to interrupt here as I do. So I think that using your analogy, then it's like, but for some people that want to get divorced, but then they're like, well, but if I got divorced, that means I've got to pay my own rent in my own home.
Yeah.
And I've got to get my own car. Like right now we share the burden of the cost of the house we're living in and the cost of the kids. And, we're kind of just so intertwined. And so to separate and go on my own, is that worth it? Or do I just hang out in this house that it's not awful? I'm not getting abused. It's just not what I wanted for my life, but it's an end to the mean that I can function every day. And so I think about that as insurance. And that's kind of what my buddy Rockstar is asking and going, I would love to get away, but am I going to survive on my own? So just like a married couple going, can I survive on my own? Because right now it's all we can do to pay the bills with a joint income, and now I'm going to go on my own, and am I not going to survive? And that's pretty much what he's asking is, if I drop insurances and lose all my patients, would I rather not maintain an office and get some money and some semblance of being a business versus is everybody going to leave me? I'm on my own, and now I can't pay the bills on my own, and maybe that's not worth it to do. So can you...
And I think that's the fear with everybody is, can I survive on the other side of this divorce? I would say that's the number one. They're assuming massive patient loss, and I will be in a situation where I can't survive. And I have not found that to be true with one singular practice, which is astounding results to me. So let's talk about that for a little bit, though, because I think we need to set realistic expectations when we talk about dropping insurance. Now, when I say dropping insurance, and you've witnessed this, I like strategy, and I like a very clear plan, and I like for that process to be drawn out over a period of time. I have never, in all my years of consulting, said drop every single contract with every single insurance company by June 1st. That's not, to me, that is too much risk for the practice. And I'm actually a very risk averse person, especially because I'm advising clients and this is their baby. This is what they've built. I feel extreme responsibility with somebody's decisions that they're making in the practice because I know there's financial implications on either side of it. And so to me, I'm always going to go with a very risk averse strategy, which is one insurance company at a time. And to start with an insurance plan that's pretty predictable from an out-of-network standpoint. So it would take a lot for me to advise dropping Delta, for example, as the first one, because that's a very unknown one, and you need a very skilled staff to be able to handle that transition. So they need to have waded in the waters of dropping insurance with somebody else before getting to Delta so that their confidence is higher.
So how would, I know that you know which ones would be the easier ones to drop. But for somebody that doesn't have you there, how do you figure out who's the easiest one to drop? For example, I guess what I'm trying to ask here is let's say Guardian, and I don't know this for sure, I'm just throwing that out there, but if it was Guardian and it's oh yeah, Guardian still sends us the check, Guardian still, they're very transparent with going, okay, this was what you would pay in network, this is what you would pay out of network, and we're still going to pay you, versus a Delta that's well, now we're going to pay you less than if you were in network, but we're also sending you the check, but we're not sending you the check, but we're Delta has all those nuances versus a Guardian or a Cigna or whoever. I don't know, but that's my question to you is how would I know who's easier?
You don't.
Okay.
You don't know, unfortunately. Okay. Now,
because they're always changing, I guess.
They're always changing, but I will give you guys a few tips here on things I've seen. What makes a company difficult? Delta's the most difficult because of all those rules, but also what makes a company difficult to drop is when they're intertangled with other umbrella companies. So I think of an Aetna, for example. Aetna, you might think, oh, it's going to be real easy to cancel that one, but Aetna's in with so many different umbrella companies that you may drop the direct contract with Aetna, but then it's picked up under these umbrella companies. So technically, you're still in network with Aetna. You're just not directly in network with them. And so that can be a little bit messy for your team to navigate. Are we in network? Well, it depends on what fee schedule. It depends on so it becomes messy waters for your team to kind of try to figure that out. There is only one company, and I hesitate to even mention them because they are, to me, the only insurance company that is doing things right now. One and only. Out of all of them, MetLife is the one that is actually doing things correctly.
Boo! I'm going to disagree. No, they're not paying the doctor. That is not correct. They are not paying the doctor the way they should. I mean, they cut a check, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, are you when you're paying me $25 for a sealant?
Correct.
Boo, that is not.
It's still a low fee schedule, but they are the only insurance company that doesn't penalize the patient for going out of network. So they pay outside of a small percentage, depending upon what the HR company set up. I have seen overwhelmingly about 90% of MetLife claims when my client drops MetLife, they're getting paid full fee right out of the gate. Because the true definition of PPO is that you should be able to choose your provider without penalty. And MetLife is the only one that's doing that. So they're also the only company that is not intertangled with all of these other third party.
Are you sure? I thought they were with Carrington.
This is Carrington, yes. But Carrington's a separate category.
Oh,
this is going to get super complex. But yes. So they will come under Carrington's umbrella, but you have to be directly contracted with Carrington.
So if you're not directly contracted, you're still out of network then with MetLife. So, okay.
Correct. So it's a clean sweep. You can drop MetLife. You can get, your patients are getting full benefit out of MetLife. The patient is none the wiser, honestly, that whether you're in network or out of network. It makes very little difference to the patients. It's one of the easiest ones to drop. They still communicate well with the providers that have dropped them. They really are, while their fee schedules when you're in network are exceedingly low, just like all other insurance companies, they actually tend to be one of the better paying in network providers, which may surprise people. But so if you want to start with the easiest one to drop, MetLife. Hands down, there is no argument. It's one of the easiest ones to drop. The two most difficult ones would be Delta for all of the reasons that we've talked about. It's just messy. They're paying the patient. They're significantly penalizing patients for coming to out-of-network providers, which is such a shame and so wrong on their part, but whatever. The other one that is exceedingly complex is Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I can't even tell you why it's complex. It just is. Every client that I've had that has dropped Blue Cross Blue Shield, it defaults to this different fee schedule that they didn't even know they were in. They have to send a separate drop letter to get out of that specific fee schedule. It has become a nightmare for a lot of offices trying. They get it done, but it takes much longer to be fully out of network with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So I would imagine, like, now, especially listeners hearing this, but before that, like, I guess I was never in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like, I think I've only been in it because of Carrington.
Right.
So I don't have any experience with this, but for me, like, if you were advising them, you would have told them you got to do this and you got to do that. But if they were on their own, it would probably have been months, and then they're finally going, what the hell is this? I thought we dropped it. Now what is this now? Oh, we're supposed to drop that too. So it's like this long dragged out. Patients are irritated. You're irritated.
Yes.
And all of that. So
it's a long process. And even once I feel like I figured it out, the game changes on me. So I even have trouble keeping up with, wait, now they told you what? Well, that wasn't the same for my last client that just went through it. So I myself am like, it is so difficult to walk through that and figure out what they're going to say now, because I feel like they're constantly changing the rules of engagement. So those two are the most complex. Then you've got MetLife, that's the easiest. Everybody else falls into that middle category, where it's relatively easy to drop them. But if you're in with other umbrella companies like Carrington, DNOA, Connection, that when you drop that direct contract, you're defaulted to those other fee schedules, which may be good, because Carrington is a relatively good reimbursing umbrella company. You may be like, that's great, I'm going to drop Cigna, and I know I'm going to get picked up under Carrington. That's fantastic. Which
a lot of these companies, like Five Lakes and some of the other ones, they're the ones I remember who guided me through a lot of that, which was like, you know what, you're only getting paid $30 for an exam under Aetna because you were directly in network with them, but you would get paid $35 if you were, or $40 if you see Aetna under Carrington. Now, what that means is they would have me drop my Aetna direct. So if you had patients that had that specific type of Aetna, so when patients would call and say, you know, do you take Aetna, or, you know, you network with Aetna, our answer was always like, maybe. And then, of course, patients were like, what the hell are you talking about? Is it yes or no? Well, we don't have a direct contract with Aetna. We don't know what kind of Aetna you've got, because there's a billion different Aetna, like, mini plans. So if one of yours is the one that we are because we're in network with, or we have a contract with Carrington, then we might. You know what? Why don't we just do the complimentary benefits check for you, and let's see where we are with that.
Yeah.
But if you flat out just said we are no longer in network with Aetna, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and patients are going to leave because you actually might be in network with Aetna.
Right.
Not with Aetna directly, but with Aetna under this umbrella. And how do you know? Because it's always changing. All those umbrella agreements are always changing. But use that to your advantage, not your disadvantage.
Yep, exactly.
And for me, it was like, okay, when Aetna was only paying me $30, like, that is not worth it. My assistant is asking for $30 an hour. Like, I'm making nothing, right? But if Carrington's going to pay me $55, then I don't mind. Then that way I don't have to lose all the Aetna patients, just the subset of the 100 that had the Aetna direct. then, 30 patients I lost, but 70 I retained, and I'm actually getting paid better. If I was completely out of network, maybe I'd be getting paid 70. But you know what? I'll take 50 because I'm used to 30. I'd prefer 70, but 50 is still better if that means I'm going to retain 70 of those 100 patients. So part of that is, just kind of considering all of those.
And considering all of that, knowing the complexities that you want to get into or not get into, but, and I think this goes back to your question, financially, the numbers almost always make sense. I say almost always. For me, it has been always with all of my clients. Now, again, strategies come into play. I'm not saying take it all with one fell swoop, but it never fails that I'll look at a practice of mine, and the only thing that would cause me to hesitate in recommending a drop would be if they are struggling to fill the schedule. Like if we're like, man, most days I'm sitting around waiting on a patient to call. Okay, I'm probably not at this time going to say, make this big sweeping change and cut an insurance plan. I would say, let's do what we can for this next 6 months to build the schedule. Let's get out and market. Let's make sure we've got good retention. Let's get your schedule more robust, and then we'll drop. But most situations, the clients that I'm talking with, it makes perfect sense to drop a plan.
So back to Rockstar's predicament, which again, I'm kind of making this up. Like it's what I think.
Yeah.
So there might be more to it than what I think, but from what I think, I'm betting his concern is that there are, I want to say 5 board-certified pediatric dentists all within 3 miles of each other where he practices. And so I know his concern probably is, my guess is probably all 5 of them are in network with everybody. So is he going to be the first one to go on a limb and be like, I'm dropping this insurance? And the competition alone, it's like people are going to fly to one of those offices. And I'm betting that's his concern. So What do you say to that?
So you need to prepare yourself to lose patients when you drop an insurance plan. Now, I think with enough preparation of your team, making sure we're explaining things well, making sure we're being honest in that explanation with patients, and making sure you've got a fantastic patient experience. When you've made sure of all of those things, you can drop a plan and still retain the bulk of your patients. So what I normally see is the lowest that I've seen is an 80% retention, which is phenomenal. That means we're retaining 8 out of 10 patients, but that does mean that we've lost 2 out of 10. So you need to prepare yourself to lose.
So the thought of, because I'm sure what he's thinking, because it's what I thought, is it going to be the other way? Am I going to retain 2 and lose 8?
I've never seen that. I've never seen it. Not in all.
Regardless of which insurance we're talking about?
Regardless of which insurance. Even with Delta. I have not seen that. Now, the math of it is, you take a company like Delta, the math of it is that you can lose half of your Delta patients, or a little bit more, depending upon how bad the fee schedule was. You can lose half of your Delta patients and still come out exactly the same financially. So your goal going into any kind of insurance drop, is we just have to retain half. And I have found that is exceedingly easy to do. Like I said, I don't see much below 80%. 80% is kind of like the bottom amount. I often see, even with Delta, yours, the last time I checked, you'd retain like 95%, which I was preparing you for like the 50% case scenario based on.
And I was thinking 100% are going to leave.
Yeah. So I was mentally prepared for you to have a very low retention rate, and you've had one of the higher retention rates. So I think it can be absolutely very successfully done where you retain those patients. But mathematically, that's why a drop works, because I just haven't seen it be a 50% drop. And even if it was a 50%, financially the practice is producing and putting out the same exact numbers. So for that reason, I definitely think it's worth considering.
I know the next question, Rockstar, I can bet your next question is going to be, okay, you just mentioned like verbiage for the staff and preparing the staff. I wouldn't know how to do that. Like, that's a lot of work, and I don't know that my staff can do it. So if you're finding yourself in that boat, which most of us will be in, I know there's some exciting news that you've got.
Yes.
can I share that now?
Yeah,
or do you want to say?
this is perfect. Yeah.
So, because my question was going to be then, who's helping with that, or what are we doing? Luckily, I have you, but Rockstar's not one of your clients. So, like, what could he do? So, I guess before I gave the teaser, before I say that, what would you say somebody should do?
I think that's hard for me because it's hard for me to say what to do because I'm thinking about my clients and I'm with them and I'm guiding them through the process. So when I think about somebody that doesn't have a guide, that's hard for me.
Okay.
I don't know what I would tell them to do.
Okay. Which is what, when he's asked me, I'm like, I don't know. Bethany did it.
Yeah.
Bethany sat with my team. Bethany, all the questions that came through that were like, well, what do we do about this? Or what do we do about that? I'm like, I don't know. Go ask Bethany.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to tell him to do. But now what I'm going to tell you to do is, on the hub, you are later this week.
Yes. This week, we're dropping our drop insurance bundle on the hub, which is a step-by-step process of what to do. It includes like the letter to send to the insurance company. It includes verbiage. It includes like when to train your team, how to train your team. Yeah, I'm so excited about it.
Okay, so now finally we have a resource for you. I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of those topics like how do you reply to negative reviews, where I read something even the other day, and it was in, I don't remember what resource it was in, but it was a dental magazine of some sort, so possibly JADA or possibly, I can't remember what it was, but it was how you shouldn't reply to negative reviews, 'cause you got to protect HIPAA and you should leave it, like whatever, and that's, you and I say the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of these things with dropping insurance where a lot of people will say, oh, you need to advise your patient, send a letter, do this, do that, and your advice is completely the opposite. In fact, one of your newer clients is somebody I sent you, and I think I talked about it on here, but I think she did exactly that, where she dropped insurances, and she has suffered for a year because her staff was not equipped to talk about it. She was not at all prepared to deal with it. And so you have now stepped in and you're trying to help her recover. I did talk to her a week or so ago. She's like, I'm in a much better place than I was in December and January, but we still have work to do. So I guess my point is, there's a lot of resources you could find that are going to tell you to do it a certain way. I don't know enough of those because I didn't look into those because I've got you, and there you go, 95%. I didn't even realize that was our retention rate. I thought it was like 60, 70. So that's amazing to hear. But I'm going to toot your horn for you. I would say, even if you are reading other resources, just to make sure that you've got a balanced view of looking at it, go get this document on the hub so you can kind of see, I can't speak to anybody else's because I didn't use anybody else's, but I can speak to, if you're telling me we had 95%, the numbers are showing it. You're not making that up. You're looking at pulling reports and looking at data. So at least I know that it works.
Yeah. And it means you can successfully drop and still retain your patients. You just have to be strategic about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So Rockstar, if you're not going to invest in the hub, because I don't know what Bethany's charging, but if you're not going to invest in the hub, then dude, you're on your own to try to figure out how to talk to your staff and how to lay out your plan. You're a smart guy. I know you can do it. But I think the point here being, back to where I started, do I recommend the drop 1,000%? And I hope you feel better about that now. And I hope you're going to call me at your next 3 month whenever you tag me again. And you're going to tell me, finally I was a smart one in the room and that I guided you well, because you've always guided me well. So let it be my turn.
Oh, I love that. That's good guidance from you, without a doubt.
I see your middle finger up at me, Rockstar. I see it, man. Love you too.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.